Do you happen to work for what I would consider a neurotic boss? You know those ones. Like, despite how effective and kick butt you are in your job, every time they have a meeting where you have to go with their boss or the board or some big meeting, they freak the heck out. And it drives you crazy. I had an executive coaching client a couple years ago, super seasoned in a P&L ownership position, reported to the COO and had to go meet with the board. Now, this wasn't new for her, but her boss was a neurotic Nelly. He insisted that they prepped and prepared weeks and weeks and weeks. This went on, multiple preparations, and that she scripted out what she was going to say. Now, even before working with me, she was smart enough to know no script is anything anyone wants to hear, especially a board. So I thought I would bring to you some of the tips and tricks that we used for her to get through this situation that you could use too. So the first is make sure you bring them a step back and align on what I call the first 45. And the first 45, I've talked about it in other videos, is essentially an executive summary that you deliver with precision and power and conviction. And too often, especially in the corporate workplace, we run off and it's like slide heck. You've got, 82 slides, you're pulling it from other decks. This looks pretty, that pretty. And nobody actually knows, hey, if I had 45 seconds and like 7 bullets, what would I say? So start with that. Make sure, kind of redivert their attention. Like, let's make sure we're aligned on what is the summary? What is that powerful first 45? The second is write out what you want to say, but not in full form. Write out the bullets and share them with them. Okay, so here's my first 45. Here are the other key points I want to make. Maybe that's by slide, maybe that's overall, and show them that you have command of what you're talking about. And then the last is if that doesn't work, if they're literally like this one was, I'm not kidding. They wanted her to write everything out, do it. Just don't deliver it. So go through, it's not the worst exercise in the world to write out what you're going to say, especially if you have a short amount of time. When I do my keynote talks, I rarely write out everything, but I just did one last week that was 20 minutes. And because that's such a short time frame compared to what I normally speak, which is more like 45 minutes, I wrote it out because I wanted to make sure. But then I called it back up to points. I did not memorize it. I got my passion behind what was I trying to say without just perfectly like going back and reading those words. And so that's what we did with her. I said, okay, comply. And then don't comply when you get in the meeting. So at the end of the day, if you go into a big meeting with just about anyone, but especially executives, you start reading from a script, they are going to immediately want to poke their eyes out and probably going to be scrolling like TikTok videos in a hot second. And so it's really up to you to give the confidence to your boss that you know what you're talking about, but do not let them derail you. Do not let them make you go down that inauthentic river and deliver something that doesn't connect, that doesn't feel real. And at the end of the day, people are going to disengage from. So those are my 3 tips. You guys can do it. Go out there and be authentic.